Hello children, welcome to second session of control and coordination. In the previous class, we have learned about control and coordination in animals via the nervous system. And today we are going to talk about coordination in plants. So before starting the chapter, I would like all of you to open your running notes and make a list of important points. So coming to coordination in plants. So here all of you know that plants grow in different directions. I told you in your previous class they grow in the direction of light. Some grow opposite to the direction of light, that is towards the force of gravity. Some flowers open and close according to the availability of light. Some leaflets open and close. Seeds start emerging out and so on. So do you think that plants have any specialized sense organs, or do they have any muscles to show some movements? But still these plants are able to respond to the stimulus. This is because plants are able to secrete certain chemical substances which coordinate the plants. These chemical substances are called as hormones. So in today's chapter we are going to know what are hormones, how they are functioning in plants. Coordination in plants. As I told you earlier, in plants control and coordination is done by chemical substances called plant hormones or phytohormones. Phytohormones are also called as growth regulators. These phytohormones are of 5 types. They are auxins, gibberellins, cytokinins, abscisic acid and ethylene. So let's quickly see the functions of auxins. Gibberellins, cytokinins, abscisic acid and ethylene. So auxin, remember, this is the first isolated phytohormone. This is first seen by a scientist called Fritz Wendt in the year 1920. This is the first isolated phytohormone by this Fritz Wendt. So this auxins help in cell division, cell elongation and growth. By the function you must have understood the exact location of auxins. So these auxins are present at the shoot tips. So coming to gibberellins, this helps in the growth of stems and branches. So usually this gibberellins, it is usually employed in cropping the sugarcane. Usually this gibberellins help in the growth of sugarcane and gives more yield in the crop. So next phytohormone is cytokinins. This cytokinins help in cell division, formation of fruits and seeds. Zeatin, remember, zeatin is the cytokinin present in the corn kernels and coconut milk. Abscisic acid. This abscisic acid, it is also called as a stress hormones in plants, and also it is called as growth inhibitor, because the major function of abscisic acid is it inhibits the growth of plants and affects the wilting of leaves during scarcity. Next phytohormone is ethylene. Ethylene, this helps in flowering and ripening of fruits. In the past, people used to put raw bananas and fruits in a room having kerosene lamp. I think you people are quite familiar with incomplete combustion. So incomplete combustion is burning in the absence of oxygen. So what happens is, when this kerosene lamps are undergoing incomplete combustion, they release a gas called ethylene. This ethylene ripens the bananas and fruits kept in that particular room. Since this ethylene is a gas, it spreads so faster in a room. And so this is the function of the phytohormone ethylene. Next, coming to the movements in plants. Usually the movements in plants are regulated by the hormone called auxin. This is merely due to the diffusion of auxin from one region to the other region. So movements in plants are of 2 types. These are tropic movements and nastic movements. Nastic movements are also called as non-tropic movements. So the first one is tropic movements. These tropic movements are directional movements towards or away from the stimulus. So as I told you earlier, stimulus can be light, heat, sound, etc. So one more particular thing about this tropic movement is this sort of movements entirely depends on growth of the plant. Okay, so this tropic movements are of various types. The first one is phototropism, the second one is geotropism, third one chemotropism, fourth one hydrotropism, fifth one thigmotropism. So coming to the definitions of these tropic movements. So the first one is phototropism. The name itself suggests you what is phototropism. As you all know, photo means light. Tropism is movement. So it is the movement of plants in response to light. Okay, and phototropism is of two types. It is positive phototropism and geotropism. In phototropism, the stimulus here is the light. So here coming to positive phototropism, when the shoot system, particularly I am talking about shoot system because this shoot system have the tendency to move towards the direction of light, and thus we can say the shoot system of a particular plant is possessing positive phototropism. So here you can see in the picture the shoot system is growing in an upward direction, that is towards the light, and thus the shoot system is possessing positive phototropism. Coming to root system, this is moving towards the ground, that is towards the force of gravity. Anyways, in phototropism we are not talking about gravity, we are talking about light because the stimulus here is light. And so the roots are moving away from the direction of light, and so this phenomenon is called as negative geotropism. So these are quite opposite terms, positive in the sense towards the light, negative is opposite, that is opposite to the light. So in this picture it is very clear. See, for example, if you take a potted plant, put a hole beneath the pot. So now put the potted plant in a slanting way. Now after 2 days, observe the direction of shoot system, the root system. So the shoot moves upwards, that is towards the direction of light. Since you kept a hole beneath the pot, the root starts protruding outside the pot, and these roots are facing towards the ground, that is opposite to the light, and thus you can say roots possess negative phototropism and shoot system possess positive phototropism. So I hope you understood what is phototropism. And next is geotropism. This is a term that is quite opposite to the phototropism. So as I told you, phototropism, it is towards the light, and geo is earth. So what does earth possess? What force does it possess? So it possesses force of gravity. So geotropism, geo means gravity, tropism means tropic movement. So here geotropism, it is the movement of plants in response to gravity. Similar to phototropism, geotropism is also of two types, that is positive geotropism, second one is negative geotropism. So in the previous thing I told you, positive phototropism means it is moving towards the light. Here try to compare the thing with each other so that the topic will be clear to you. So here positive geotropism means towards gravity. So in a plant, which part is moving towards gravity? Yes, I told you earlier, it is the root system. So root system, since it is moving towards the ground, that is towards the gravity, and this root system shows a phenomenon called positive geotropism. In geotropism, please don't talk about or please don't mention about light because we are talking about gravity. Okay. So similarly in phototropism also don't mention about gravity since we are talking about light. Okay. So you can say the best example for positive geotropism is downward growth of plants. Okay, so similarly negative geotropism, it is nothing but the shoot system we can take as an example. It is moving away from the gravity, and this is called as a negative geotropism. So don't get confused with both the terms, photo, light, geo, gravity. So phototropism is the movement towards light and geotropism is the movement towards gravity. So positive phototropism, it is shoot system moving towards light, and positive geotropism is root system moving towards the gravity, and this is vice versa in case of negative phototropism and negative geotropism. So next, coming to chemotropism. So I told you from the word itself you can derive the definition. So chemotropism, chemo, chemical, tropism, tropic movements. So here chemotropism, it is the movement of plant in response to chemical stimulus. Okay, so example for this is growth of pollen tube towards the ovule. I think you people are quite familiar with the process called fertilization. Yes, during the process of pollination, especially in plants, what happens? See, it might be self-pollination or cross-pollination. The pollen, that is, the pollen grain is transferred from the male part to the female reproductive organ. So when this pollen grain is allowed to sit on the stigma, the pollen tube starts protruding downwards towards the ovule. This is because the ovule secretes certain substances, or you can say certain chemical substances, that allow the pollen tube to protrude towards the ovule, and thus the pollen grain starts moving from the stigma towards the pollen tube, and then it enters the ovary and mates with the egg. This is how fertilization takes place. And so since the movement is seen due to the release of chemicals here, this sort of phenomenon is called as chemotropism. Okay, so this is about chemotropism. And next is hydrotropism. So what is hydrotropism? Hydro, water, tropism, tropic movement. So it is the movement of plants in response to water. So even this hydrotropism, it is of two types. The first one is positive hydrotropism. The second one is negative tropism. I think you must be clear with the terms by now. So in the picture you can see the plant here, the shoot system is moving upwards, that is opposite to the water. And so I forgot to tell you, in hydrotropism, what is the stimulus? So anyways, I'll tell you the answer. In hydrotropism, the stimulus is water. So here the shoot system is moving away from water. And so what sort of phenomenon is this? Is it a positive hydrotropism or a negative hydrotropism? So the answer is negative hydrotropism. So here the shoot system is showing negative hydrotropism, and the shoot system, if you observe, it is growing towards the water, and the root system is possessing positive hydrotropic movement or positive hydrotropism. Okay, so this is about hydrotropism. So next, coming to thigmotropism. So what is this thigmo? This is a new term, right? So thigmo means sense of touch. Okay, the movement of plant in response to touch is called as thigmotropism. So here tendrils, example is tendrils coiling around a support. So you know what is a tendril, right? So say for example, if you see a pea plant which is a climber, so these pea plants have very weak stems. So how can these, how these plants are able to grow? So what happens is they are modified. Here the stems are modified into slender hair-like structures. These are called as tendrils, and these tendrils, they coil around a support, and thereby the plant grows along the support. Okay, so this is nothing but movement of plant in response to touch. Since the tendrils are coiling around the support, the plant is growing up and up. So here this is about thigmotropism. And one more thing I forgot to tell you, Like I told you about auxins, right? So these are usually present at the shoot tip. So in case of tendrils also, what happens is this auxin, since I told you what is the function of auxins? Auxins help in cell elongation. So here the auxins are showing more cell growth, or you can say cell elongation in the part of a tendril where it is away from the support rather than the tendril which is in contact with the support. So here you can see the tendril which is exposed outside shows more growth than the tendril which is in contact with the support. Here what happens is the auxin is diffusing from one region to the other. That is the reason why there is a difference in the growth which is in support and which is not in support. Okay. So this is how auxins are usually regulating the growth of a plant. Okay. So for example, I will tell you more clearly. See, take a plant. Okay. For example, take some green gram. Okay, so you know how to make sprouts, right? So what you will do is take a green gram, soak them in water for a few hours, and later on you will see some sort of growth that is coming out of the seeds. Now take the seeds out of the water and put them in a muslin cloth, or you can say a wet cloth, and put them aside. See that the cloth is not drying. Okay, sprinkle some water every now and then. And so what happens is after few hours you can see some outgrowth, or you can see some sort of root like things that is coming out of the seed, and this outgrowth or projections is called as sprouts. I think you people are quite familiar with this sprouts. Okay, now what you will do is now put this sprouts in damp cotton cloth. So now illuminate using a lamp. Illuminate this cotton cloth having the seeds, sprouted seeds, with a lamp. And so in few hours or few days, what you will see is the outgrowths start moving towards the light. So what is happening here? Here the entire role is done by the auxins. So what happens? Auxins, I told you already, these are present at the tips. And so since this is moving towards the light, here the auxins from the tip, they start moving towards the shaded regions. This makes the plant to bend towards the light, and this difference in the this difference in the movement of auxins from the light region to the shaded area, this results in the bending of plant towards the light, and this is how the plant shows its movement, you can say tropic movement, towards the light. Okay, so this is the exact role of auxins, which helps in the diffusion from one area to the other. This differential movement leads to the bending of plant towards the light, and so this is about tropic movements. Hope you all understood. And next one is nastic movements or non-tropic movements. So I told you earlier, tropic movements is, it is unidirectional, that it is growing towards or away from the light. Here it depends on the growth of the plant, I told you, in case of tropic movements. And in case of non-tropic movements, you can say non-tropic means non-directional. This doesn't depend upon direction. Or one more thing is, this doesn't depend on the growth of the plant also. Okay, so here you can see the definition. These are the non-directional movements which are neither towards or away from the stimulus. Okay, so here as I told you, stimulus can be of anything. It can be light, heat, touch, anything. So here example. So you people, I think you people know touch me not plant. You might have seen on the roadsides or somewhere. You can see touch me not plant. See, when you touch that, it starts closing its leaflets immediately. Yes, and so that is a touch me not plant. Do you know the scientific name of touch me not plant? Okay, I'll tell you. It is Mimosa pudica. So MIMOSA PUDICA. This is touch me not plant. That is the scientific name. Mimosa pudica is the scientific name for touch me not plant. So here, if we touch the leaves of touch me not plant, Its leaves fold up and droops down immediately due to the change in the amount of water in the leaves. So depending upon the amount of water in the leaves, it swells or shrinks. So when you touch a touch-me-not plant, what happens? As soon as the leaves are touched, they close. This is because once the leaves are sensitized, that is, once it is feeling the sense of touch, what happens is the plant, the cells inside starts sensitizing the touch and they release certain chemicals, okay, which expels the water out of the cell vacuoles. So due to this expulsion of water from the cells, this results in the drooping of leaves and thereby they start closing. Okay, this is how touch-me-not, this is the internal process that is happening in a touch-me-not plant. This is how as soon as you touch the leaves, they start closing. It is due to the release or loss of water from the plant. Okay, so this is about non-tropic movements. So non-tropic movements are of various types. Let's see what are those. Thigmonasty. I told you already thigmo. Thigmo is nothing but sense of touch. So here response of plants to touch. So example, as I told you, it is touch-me-not, and one more thing is a Venus flytrap, or you can say pitcher plant also. So you know, in pitcher plant what happens? As soon as the insects sit on the trap, what happens? The plant starts releasing certain chemicals due to the sense of touch. So as a result, it starts closing and trapping the insect also, and this is how Venus flytrap and the pitcher plant works. And next is Nyctinasty movement. So what is this Nyctinasty movement? Yes, there are some flowers of certain plants which open or close according to the time of the day. And so there are some flowers which open during night time, there are some flowers which close during night time. So this is called as Nyctinasty. It is of two types. That is photonastic. Second one is thermonastic. Photonastic, it is photo means light, and nastic is opening and closing. And this photonastic is movement due to light. Examples for photonastic movement is dandelion flower, and you can say moonflower also. So what happens is this dandelion flower, it opens during daytime and closes during night time. According to the availability of light, they start opening, and if the light diminishes, it closes. Okay, so this is photonastic movement. And the second one is thermonastic movements. So what is thermonastic movement? Thermo means temperature. So movement due to heat. As I told you earlier, there are some flowers or there are some leaves which open and close according to the availability light and according to the availability of heat. So we can take similar examples as I have taken in photonastic, dandelion flower. So I told you dandelion flower opens during daytime and closes as the light diminishes. So here daytime. So daytime you can say heat, that is the temperature is more. Okay, so obviously here this dandelion flower opens during daytime, in the sense whenever the temperature is higher it opens, and whenever the temperature cools down, that is at night time, it closes. Okay, so this is about Nyctinastic movement. And children, that's all for today's class, and a worksheet will be given to you. Please solve that in your HW. So thank you.